Spring break 2024 brought us back to the Pacific Crest Trail. This trip, the goal was to do Section F, an 86-mile portion between Tehachapi and Walker Pass. We decided to do it SOBO, or southbound, because of how remote the Walker Pass trailhead is. It was easier to work with a trail angel and get a ride to that location and walk back to the more central Tehachapi trailhead on Highway 58. It was by far the most difficult hike I have ever undertaken. Low temperatures, high winds, winter storm conditions, snow, blowdowns, little water, and incredibly remote. It was 5 days crossing only one paved road, no towns, and seeing just 3 other hikers. Here's to my intrepid hiking partners, Mrs. Alpine and Duct Tape.
Merry Christmas. At the Trail Angel's house, getting unloaded. Their
Duct tape.
duct tape is getting loaded up.
Alright, we're at the trailhead. Look at that rainbow. On day 1, we met our trail angels, Richard and Cindy, at their home in Mojave, and Richard gave us a ride to the Walker Pass trailhead. The greeting from an incredible rainbow was only a reminder that the weather was unsettled. Our 14-mile hike took us through a desert terrain and gradually into mountain forests. The skies, while mostly sunny, were cold and the winds strong much of the time. As we climbed to 6,000 feet, we met patches of snow, most of which were fairly easy to traverse. On a dirt road, we encountered four-wheelers and razors. I'm sure they were nice people, but it felt like a scene from Mad Max as we watched on. That evening, we set up camp at mile 639, working hard to find shelter on the leeward side of low-lying shrubs and trees. Temps were in the high 20s, but with the wind chill probably in the mid-teens. On day 2, we awoke to a winter scene. During the night, we had heard the icy pellets hitting our tent, and in the morning, we found that it had snowed. Bundled in our winter gear, we headed out for another 14-mile day. Our tent site last night. Freezing cold. Coldest night we've ever been out on trail. Snowed during the night. There was a certain rugged beauty to the ice-rimed trees and snow-lined trails, but there was also the realization that without the right gear and right fitness, one could easily encounter difficulties out there. The higher we climbed, the more a dense fog rolled in, turning our walk into an eerie experience. We walked on longer stretches of snow-covered trail that slowed our progress.
just opened my bottle of Diet Coke. It froze immediately. So, but there's a sun's trying to come through right now for the first time, so that would be helpful.
As the afternoon wore on, we descended into a more desert-like area where yellow flowers braved the cold temperatures. However, our day was not done. Before we reached our campsite, we encountered winds at 40 miles per hour, freezing temperatures, and icy snow pellets. Nature's one last reminder that we were only visitors in its landscape. Thankfully, the skies cleared a bit and the winds decreased as we came into our campsite at mile 625. Day 3 dawned, cool and crisp, but with thankfully diminished winds. We began our trek watching the moon set in the west over snow-covered mountain peaks. The morning walk ended at Kelso Road, the sole paved road we would cross in our 5 days on trail. We took on water at the water cache there, and after a rest began an arduous 1,400-foot climb over the next 3.7 miles, a route that felt constantly uphill, but also took us from the desert into more forested areas. Later in the day, we found ourselves in a tall pine forest with fairly frequent natural streams. We refilled on water and camped at mile 607, completing an 18-mile day.
Is shared between dirt bikes and four-wheelers and PCT. So where it's supposed to be only the PCT, there's skates. And then you have to take a big step over it to get to the trail. And even then, you can see that some kind of vehicle has come through here. Almost 18 miles today. We have one more mile to go to our campsite, so we're getting water for the night. Brian is filtering it as he puts it in there. Such a pretty spot.
On day 4, we planned to hike 20 miles, so we left camp a bit earlier and were met with a stunning sunrise. Despite the cold, the beauty of the area and the sun that weekly sought to warm us gave us a hopeful feel to the day. Alas, as we neared Hamp Williams Pass, a dense layer of fog blew in, obscuring the sun and giving the day a dismal feel that would only be heightened as we encountered long stretches of snow-covered trail, some from the most recent snow and some simply from ice falling from the trees.
Merry Christmas.
That would have been bad enough, but then we began to encounter intense sections of blowdowns, where huge trees, weakened by disease and storms, had been blown down across the trail. This tree-mageddon slowed our hike and challenged our strength, as climbing over the big trees would sap your strength. Down out of the pass, the sun reappeared and we found ourselves looking into a farm valley and caught our first glimpse of the windmills that would be our near constant companions for the next 24 hours. We cruised into camp at mile 587, having completed our 20-mile day. The last day of any hike begins with a certain anticipation. The anticipation of a restaurant meal on the way home, of a hot shower, of clean clothes, and of sleeping in one's own bed. Yes, I felt those things, but there was a certain dread to the final day because I had seen that we had a significant elevation gain and descents throughout the day. It began with a long uphill ending near Golden Oak Spring. Soon after, we found ourselves on a long dirt road walk, first down, 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 and then a miserable 800-foot uphill slog over just 1.2 miles of road walking. Thankfully, it was our warmest day yet and the first chance to hike in shorts during our section hike. As we descended the last 8 miles, we experienced some of the most stunning vistas of our trip, including views of Edwards Air Force Base. finishes with a 1 mile portion along Highway 58. We were grateful to meet our trail angel Rich shortly after 5 p.m., having completed a 21-mile day and the 86 miles of Section F of the Pacific Crest Trail.